Kitco Mining special coverage of the Deutsche Goldmesse is brought to you by Faraday Copper.
With cryptocurrencies trading down after the FTX debacle, where does that leave gold? I'm with Florian Grummes. He is with Midas Consulting. Florian, welcome back to Kitco.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Now, you talked to Kitco in September, and at that time, since we've had gold spring up on the good inflation number that we had that was released, where is gold going right now?
That's a good question. I think gold is either has seen the bottom already, 1650, 3 times, triple low, September, October, and November, 3 times tested that number, and then we had this quick move higher over the last 2 weeks. So it looks promising, but it could still be a short squeeze and a kind of a bear market rally. But overall, I think we've either seen the low or it's coming within the next few weeks, maybe 3 months, and I think the downside is very limited.
What's the factors that are driving gold right now? Talk about the Fed pivot, talk about macro.
Well, first of all, it's been very oversold, right? Mm-hmm. And then you had this news coming out of the massive central bank demand. I think that's been one of the triggers for this short squeeze over the last 2 weeks. And I'm in the camp believing that the Fed will have to pivot rather sooner than later, give or take. It could be mid of December already, the last rate hike. Maybe they do one more next year. But overall, I think they are on the path to break something. Mm-hmm. And so gold is sniffing out this kind of change in the money policy already. It's been the first one doing that in the deflationary crash of 2008. And I think it's the first time this time around as well. So it's very oversold. The physical market is kicking in, central bank demand. I don't see a lot of downside. Instead, we have this first massive move higher over the last 2 weeks. Okay, now it depends how far is the next pullback, right? If 1680 can hold, we are already probably in a new uptrend, making higher lows and then at some point also higher highs. If 1680 doesn't hold, we probably see one more lower low, but I don't think gold will go much lower than 1600, maybe worst case 1550. Mm-hmm. And then I think this correction is over. Because you have to remember, gold is ahead of everything else. Gold topped out in August 2020 at 2075, 1 year before the stock market topped, 1 year before Bitcoin topped, 1 year before the bond market topped. So gold is ahead of everything else. And so it should be the first one to start a new bull market as well.
Well, you said something interesting before we started the interview, and you said that gold is first. Gold is good at sniffing out what's around the corner. Can you explain a bit more about that?
It's a monetary metal, right? And it's been 5,000 years of people using gold as money. And so it's I think the smartest money is still around for the last 5,000 years. And that's why there's a lot of institutional interest, like central banks looking at it. There is also smart money, big deep pockets looking at it. You have 2 big countries, India and China, being responsible for 50% of the demand, the physical demand. So I think there's a lot of smart people in the gold sector looking at it. And it's always the same at these overstretched situations where the paper market either has run so much to the upside or been correcting so much like we've seen this year. At some point, the physical market is kicking in, and now you have the physical demand, and then it's very hard for the paper speculators to drive the price much lower. While on the other side, if there's no physical demand anymore because you had a big bull run, then suddenly there is no fundament anymore below the gold price, and then you see these big pullbacks like in August 2 years ago.
I can tell your focus is on gold right now. Is there any other metals right now that you're interested in or that have your attention? Silver, copper?
I always liked and loved silver for sure, but let's remember silver always comes later in a precious metals bull market, right? So the really nice time for silver usually comes in the last quarter of a bull market or a bull run or a rally. So I assume it will take a little bit more time until you see really nice price action in silver. But of course, I love buying silver physically. Unfortunately now premiums are very high. In Germany you have to pay VAT on top, so you often quickly are in the situation where you have to see silver going up 30% before you even break even, right? So that's probably why in an investment in silver stocks is more interesting at this point. So I love silver and I love copper because I believe that the world still slowly only is waking up to the fact that there is not enough copper for the electrification of the planet, right? So I believe a copper rush will come as well, but probably at a later stage. I think gold will move first.
How about uranium?
Yes, very interesting. I've been a uranium bull for the last 2 years. Right now I'm a little bit more, not cautious, but a little bit more sidelining. I think now it's other stories that will come. But I think the uranium bull market overall is intact. But probably a little bit more kind of a consolidation sideways, going nowhere period.
I'm going to bring it up talking about cryptocurrencies. We certainly have seen headlines that have been disfavorable to the whole cryptocurrency sector right now, mainly the debacle that we're seeing that's unfold right now in FTX and just kind of contagion in that area. How are cryptocurrencies looking?
Well, I mean, you always have to differentiate, I believe, Bitcoin and then the rest, which is the altcoins, and many of them are very questionable. But of course, it's rather unclear right now who's involved, who is not being able to withdraw their funds, who doesn't have any access on FTX to the money, and there could be still a lot of VCs, funds, other token projects, whatever. I think it still take more time and probably a few weeks at least until we get more clarity here. But what I see is that Bitcoin is not really going lower anymore, even though we had a lot of bad news. So that usually is already a good sign. I think, I mean, when I talked with Michel a few weeks ago, I was very bearish and I said there's too much scam and too much bad actors in the sector, and it's been proven again. That's really the big problem. And now the regulators have all reasons to get really hard on the sector, right? So that's still the larger problem I see. But I think latest in the next spring, Bitcoin will have a nice rally and a bounce. Maybe there's still some more downside. 10K, I said the last time, was my price target more or less. What I see right now, it's stronger than expected actually. Even if it's down, Bitcoin it's not acting that bad compared to the type of news that we've seen, right? So usually if a market is not going down on bad news, it's probably bottoming out, right? But again, I think gold is ahead in the cycle. Maybe Bitcoin needs a few more months to stabilize. Maybe we see that 10K, 12K. I'm still not really super keen on that sector right now.
Kitco is covering Deutsche Goldmesse show, which we're at right now in Frankfurt. We also covered previously the 2022 Precious Metal Summit Zurich. Right. Kitco's been talking to a lot of miners. This has coincided with the FTX story that started breaking, I guess, over a week ago right now. Talking to a lot of the miners, they're hopeful that there might be a rotation out of crypto and then into the gold space. They're looking for more interest. What do you think?
Well, at least the crypto sector won't take any new money away from the precious metals in the future, right? I'm not sure if the money from crypto will flow to gold directly. I mean, it's a different type of people. I mean, if you look at the VCs, these are aggressive tech investors. They would not come into the gold space. But yes, the narrative that was around for the last 1-2 years has certainly been broken, and definitely we'll see some money flowing into gold instead of Bitcoin. I think the much bigger driver for the gold price will be the money that is coming out of the bond market. So because you have inflation, you have a very terrible year for the bonds. You have the end of a 40-year downtrend in interest rates. You had 40 years of cheap credit, cheap money, and now we have this quick and massive rise in interest rates. First of all, the market has forced the Fed to do this, and now the Fed has followed over the last few months. And I think it will remain a very challenging environment for the bond investors. And the bond market is the largest market, the most important one, and that's where all the institutional money is. That's where also your pension fund money is. And where can these people go if they want to diversify a little bit? The only thing that they can go to is gold, because there is nothing more conservative than gold. So it takes just 1% out of this huge bond market to move into precious metals and gold, and we will be in a totally different stratosphere, I think. Yeah.
Florian, thank you very much. I know that this has been a busy day. I know that you have to rush and catch a plane. We appreciate you making time with Kitco.
Thanks so much for having me. Always a pleasure. Thank you.
My name is Michael McRae with Kitco Mining here at Deutsche Goldmesse in Frankfurt.
Kitco Mining special coverage of the Deutsche Goldmesse is brought to you by Faraday Copper.